And analysts continue to mull over the weaknesses of the local currency as the rand weakens some more. Markets still waiting direction from the United States and other markets. In early trade, the rand trading at around 19 rand 53 against the dollar. Matete Thulare is the head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank, joining us now for that market update. Mr. Thulare, thank you very much for your time. The rand remains weak as we close the week. Give us your quick sense of what you think is influencing trade there.
Good morning, Claudia. I suppose the rand finally breaking through the resistance level and trading up to a 4-month high yesterday. Now the local unit traded all the way to 1964 in very choppy trade. I mean, we did see some hawkish comments from the Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago. That also added some fuel to the fire yesterday, with the governor saying in an interview that the central bank isn't too necessarily concerned about the rand. They're more worried about the effects it will have on inflation. He also said the bank will not step in to protect the local currency despite the current weakness that we're seeing. But, you know, and then when you focus about today, everything is about the release of the September non-farm payroll numbers. Now, the market is anticipating a softer number with only about 170,000 jobs being created in the month compared to the 820,000 jobs that we saw the other month. Now, the overall unemployment rate is expected to drop to about 3.7% for the month compared to the 3.8% for the prior month. Now, over in Asia, the problem is that at this point in time, it feels like the dollar is on a strong foot, gaining for the past 12 straight weeks. Now, if you look at also the oil price, I think that's also something that really focusing on, and also trading at around $85 a barrel. The rand is starting at 19.52 this morning. Anything is expected. If we do see a stronger data set from the US, then potentially 1965, 1975, that is on the cards.
Let's talk about the foreign exchange reserves in South Africa. They have fallen to, you've got to listen carefully to this figure now, $61.131 billion in September of 2023. Make sense of that data for us.
Yeah, like you rightfully say, I mean, the gross foreign exchange reserves, that dropped to about 61.1 billion. Previously, it was around 61.9 billion, as reported by the Reserve Bank locally. Now, this was the smallest amount of foreign exchange reserves since February, as the decreases were seen in the foreign currency reserves and also the gold reserves. Now, for us as a financial institution, as obviously the capital markets, if you maintain an adequate level of reserves, that boosts the investor confidence and also helps reduce the likelihood of capital outflows. But at this point in time, as we can see, the liquidity in the market, yes, it is something that everyone is watching for. So I think if you look at it on a net-for-net basis, the number is very small and very minuscule, and I think that the market won't be reading too much into this number.
Let's talk company news. Private health hospital group Life Healthcare inking a deal to set its UK diagnostics business Alliance Medical. Talk us through the specs of that particular sale.
What an interesting deal. I mean, if you look at it, Life Healthcare has said they're going to sell the AMG Group, which is the UK business, to Icon Infrastructure. Now, the deal includes a cash purchase price of around £600 million. Now, Alliance Medical, which is also known as AMG, now they provide imaging services and they're present in a lot of European countries such as Germany, Ireland, and Italy. Now, if you think about Life Healthcare, this is one of the largest private healthcare institutions in South Africa, and they bought AMG in 2016. And AMG has actually contributed about 63% of revenues in the past 6 years for Life Healthcare. Now, the net proceeds from this sale will be about £360 million, of which Life Healthcare has said that they intend to return this to the shareholders via a special dividend. So if you're a Life Healthcare shareholder, I think you will be expecting some few cents and rands to be trickling into your accounts. Now, the sales process was initiated after Life Healthcare said they received quite a number of bids for this business. Now, for them, the sale of this business is in the best interest of shareholders to realize value from the division whose value has not been fully reflected in the company's share price. But I think for them, it's also a consolidation phase, and they have said that after this, disposal of this asset, they will be focused on their strong South African business and also their sub-Saharan businesses. I mean, they have something like 65 healthcare facilities in South Africa and Botswana. So for me, it feels like consolidation, but also as a shareholder, we did see the share price rising by about 7% yesterday on the back of this news.
Let's conclude the conversation with the World Bank, which says sub-Saharan Africa will record growth of just 2.5% in 2023. Your quick sense of that sentiment, do you share in it?
What an interesting one, Gloli. I mean, if you think about it, the rising instability, the weak growth that we are seeing globally, that is factoring through. There's also uncertainty from a global economy perspective. That's also dragging down sub-Saharan Africa. The economic outlook for sub-Saharan Africa looks really bleak amid, this elusive growth recovery that we have been speaking about. There has been quite a lot of issues that are affecting the growth prospects for, the region. Already, we're forecasting that to decelerate to 2.5% from 3.6% last year. If you also think about it locally, the GDP is expected to only grow about 0.5%. As we know, we've got energy and transport bottlenecks which continue to affect us. The likes of Nigeria and Angola, they projected to grow at around 2.9 to 1.3% respectively. That's on the back of the lower international prices and also what's happening from a currency pressure with regards to their oil activity. There's also increased conflict and violence in some of these regions, which is obviously weighing on their economic activity. And also, what's now coming to the fore is the fact that we're now having climate shocks, which is obviously spooking the market and obviously affecting the growth perspective. In spite of the gloomy outlooks, there are some bright spots in the fact that already at this point in time, inflation is expected to decline to about 9.3%, from what we saw last year. This was on the back of at least the receding oil prices that we have seen over the past couple of weeks. But nonetheless, also the fiscal balances in a lot of African countries are also remaining prudent, and there is also coordinated macroeconomic policies from some of the policymakers. So at least possibly we could see some pretty bright spots over the next few months.
Matete Thulare, let me thank you very much for that markets update.